Good morning, everybody. I'm just going through a couple quick technicals and I will be right with you. Just hang out there in the waiting room and I'll be with you in just a second. Glad to see y'all again, man. Good to see all of y'all. Like, took almost a year off. So yeah, it's good seeing everybody again. I'm gonna start picking this back up and keep it more regular. Pretty much every Wednesday at 10 a.m. for everybody. Appreciate y'all tagging everybody. Oh, making me feel loved over here. We'll get this kicked off in about a minute. We're gonna have a pretty good show here today. So I'm interested in diving in more on this topic myself. So I'm looking forward to the details and feel free to answer your questions. We are live, so we'll be kicking this off here in about 30 seconds. Hey, everybody. Hi, Ziva. Hey, good morning, everybody. We've got Caleb Luketic here from Hype Digital, and today's going to be discussing Facebook ads. How are they going to help you find motivated sellers? How are they going to help you move through and do those types of things? Will they help you? What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? What are your costs per acquisitions? What are these things going to look like? So let's get in deep, let's get in tight, and let's figure all this out, man. So I'm really excited to have Caleb Luketic here today. I'm going to hand this show over to Caleb. I'll be monitoring, I'll be here, but feel free to ask as many questions as you want live and let this man take over the show for the day. Caleb, go for it, man.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate you having me on. I'm excited that we'll be here, I think, every other Wednesday, and man, it's going to be awesome. So everybody just get ready for what's happening here, what's about to happen here. It's going to be awesome today and every Wednesday moving forward. So just if you guys are able to hear me, just give me a little thumbs up. That would be awesome. So I'm just not sitting here chatting away at you. So but awesome, guys. Well, we're just going to kind of jump right in. And I'll say this first up front, just so you guys know a couple things about us real quick. I know most of you guys know me under the Steel Marketing name. We actually transitioned our names under Height Digital, so don't be confused. It's still us, just a brand new name. So today we're gonna be diving into a lot of the Facebook ad side of things, and so I want to hear you guys on this. I would love to see you guys raise your hand and drop a question or something like that. One, raise your hand. Tell me if you're using anything to do with social media right now, generating seller leads, even if it's just organic like stuff of you just making a post, doing something there. Would love to know from everybody there what you guys are doing at the moment there, if anything. And then as well, just so you guys know, any questions that you guys have throughout this entire thing here, let me know. Drop them on here. I'm here to answer them for you guys, and I want you guys to be successful here. And so that's why we're going to hop right in here. So, all right. So just making sure my mic's good. Sorry, I accidentally hit the wrong button there. But so let's just go ahead and dive right into the social media ads, a lot of the Facebook stuff, just what it is and how things work. So it's really, really important because a lot of people don't really understand how the stuff even works. So I like to tell people this, that a lot of the Facebook ads really make it a little bit more like a online bandit sign, right? That's like kind of like the general vibe of it. Of what it is you're literally placing something somewhere, right? You're holding up a letter. Imagine there was something here, right? And you're saying, hey, check this out, I buy houses. That's exactly what it is. And so with that being said, a lot of people don't understand that, like, that's the way that it works first off. So it's very important to understand that as we move forward here, because it sounds like I'm going positive, but we're going to talk about some negative things here and just a little bit about it as well. Hey there, Royce. Yeah, man. Facebook group pages in targeted areas. Hey, that's great, man. That's a fantastic free way. Actually, just make a post and say, hey, look, does anybody have their house to sell? I'm looking to try to buy one, like something like that. Yeah, you're going to get some individuals that are sharing and, a house that's already onto the MLS and stuff like that, right? But that'll happen. But for the most part, you're going to need some pretty decent leads that way. So let's get back into how things actually operate, how things are, and what it means. So again, all you're doing with a Facebook ad is you're literally saying, hey, here I am. This is me. This is what we are. I buy houses. So that's that's the whole premise behind this stuff. So it gets a little bit tricky to kind of target some things. And so as well, just so you guys know, what is consistent inside of an actual ad, we've got, three main things, right? We've got our ad copy, so that big chunk of text, what it actually says, our titles, right, of whatever you want that title of that ad to be, and then the creative. Okay, well, what that creative is it a picture, a graphic, a video, stuff like that, right? What's the thing that they're seeing about you guys? And so that's that's just an important thing to know of what that actually looks like. Now, again, guys, any questions that you guys have, feel free, drop them in. We'll chat and I'll be more than happy just to answer them there. But let's go ahead and talk about how Facebook targets. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, right? And we tell all of our clients this. So I tell this to everybody that we help, that we do any SEO, AdWords, any Facebook ads, anything we do for anybody else. I tell them this specifically about social media ads because it gets really interesting at this next point here of how we target people. Okay, so what we do is we have interests. So the Facebook ads platform gives us these interests, right? Different interest categories, right? And some are home improvement. They're looking for a mortgage or refinance, right? There's a lot of different interests there. But here's the caveat: we don't know who's in those interests. We have no idea. We don't know. Here's an example for you to understand about how things work a little bit. So let's just say that I'm trying to run a Facebook ad targeting you guys, targeting investors, right? Real legitimate investors. If you're watching this right now, you're a real investor, right? Like you're trying to learn and you're trying to, so I'm trying to target you here, right? Well, let's say I pick the real estate investor interest. I don't know who's in that interest. It could be everyone watching this, or it could be a stay-at-home mom that watches HGTV and likes Chip and Joanna Gaines. Wouldn't classify her as an investor, right? I wouldn't necessarily do that, right? She's probably not an investor. And so because of that, right, it gets a little tricky, right, when we're targeting homeowners as well. I'm sure that you guys have seen a lot of those recent updates and a lot of things, which I'll get into, but it's just running social media ads has become a lot more complex, a lot more complicated, things like that. So it's gotten really interesting trying to run those ads because, again, we don't really know who, what interests that we are targeting and stuff like that. And so it gets really intriguing to how do we set that up? And honestly, on the Facebook side, you got to test it. To be honest, you got to test it. Like there's no other way to figure that out. So you just have to run it and see. And I know that sounds like that's kind of crappy advice, but on the Facebook ad platform, just to be honest, it's what we tell everyone. Hey, let's run it. If it works, great. Let's keep trucking. If not, we need to end it. So I do think that on the Facebook side, and hey guys, any questions that you guys have, feel free, add them in there. Would love to hear what you guys have to say about this as well on this end. And so, one of the other key factors here to consider for the Facebook ads for us as investors is the fact that we aren't allowed to ask for addresses anymore. Let that sink in. The housing category, the special housing category on the Facebook ads, you're no longer allowed to ask for an address. Seems kind of crazy, right? That just seems kind of nuts. And so that gets really interesting when we're trying to go through that, because if we can't even, if we can't even ask for an address, well, how can we trust them as a platform sometimes? Now, there are some ways to get around that, right? You could ask things like, what is the property you want a cash offer on, right? So there's different ways you can potentially phrase that. But on the Facebook forums themselves, right, you can't ask for an address. You have to send them to a landing page and stuff like that. So I got a question here. Lisa, fantastic question.
What is the
Fantastic.
property?
And the biggest
I don't know when's
thing
a
here,
good time to interrupt you. Sorry, man. I don't know when is a good time to interrupt you. You've asked for a couple of questions. I've had questions come in. Do you want me to wait until later to bring those questions up, or you want me to hit you with those questions as they're coming in?
I got the questions here, Daniel. So I'll just.
All right, I got just a couple quick ones. If you want to take note on them, I don't know. I've never done this before. So everybody that's watching, this is our first time actually doing like a co-hosting event. I'm actually having problems hearing what Caleb is saying, so I'm kind of having to mime back and forth with him. But I've had three things come up, and I'll let you touch base on them as you want to touch base on them. One of them was coming in from Aiden. He was asking about the iOS 14 update. He said he was concerned about the iOS 14 update. I had Ziva come in. She was asking, should she be posting these ads from her personal account, or should she be posting these ads from a different account? Like, should she create a business page or something like that, or should she be doing it from both? And then I've had another one. I'll pause, let you catch up on those. I had another one come in. They're asking, can we still load a list to Facebook and look for a lookalike audience? And then one last one, and I'll wrap up these questions and let you touch into them. How are you charged by using Facebook ads? Is it per impression, or is it per click, et cetera? And that's coming in from Mike. So one last one, and I'm going to pause and I'll let you catch up. How long do you test, and what is your daily spend like for when you're testing? Do you test it for a couple hours, a couple of weeks? Are you waiting for X number of impressions? And what kind of daily spend are you seeing from your average client that's looking to get a deal done? So I'm going to pause and I'll let you take over from there.
Let's do it. Awesome, guys.
So if you want to jump in on that, Caleb, go for it.
Yeah, sweet. Awesome. So I have I've got all of it there, all these wonderful questions for everyone here. So awesome. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I'll actually start with Lisa's question there. So actually, yeah, absolutely. So what we can actually do here is we still can load and target a list onto ads, which is awesome. We still can. That's still a thing that can happen. And here's the one thing that we've seen is that actually recently, and this is just, I think, recent things that have been happening. Some is actually that by doing that, it's actually making some of our cost per leads a bit more expensive. And so you still absolutely can. I still think that there's a time and a place for that. I think worst case scenario here, if you guys get this out of anything here, anything at all, you guys should still be running retargeting ads. Just spending a couple hundred on that. That's definitely an important thing, I think, that you guys can still be spending money on, just to show your ads to, again, those custom lists, people that have visited the website, stuff like that. So I still highly recommend that stuff, and you still can, absolutely can. It's just we've seen that cost be a little bit higher. So well, let's go and jump into the iOS update. Actually, I'm going to answer a couple of these other easier ones first, and then we'll go into that one. And I'll answer the question of personal versus a business page. I am always of the opinion that the more personable the page can be, the better. And so I think if like your personal page is like, Caleb buys houses, right? Or like something that's still personable, still run it from there. And I think that the other part of the coin too is, and again, pros and the cons here, that if you have a business page, you've got some reviews, right? You can get some reviews and people can check that out and see that stuff. And so I think that still, just do whatever you feel the most comfortable with. Honestly, I don't think that there's necessarily a right or a wrong. Try running ads from the personal page and see what the response is. Try running ads from a company page, see what the response is. I think that that's what I would have to say about that. I know guys that run ads from a business page and do well, and run from a personal page and they do well. So I know that might not give you the exact answer there, but do whatever you feel is best. I don't think that there's necessarily a right or a wrong. I would probably start with the personal page, though. Personally, I would probably start there. Okay, so the other question is, how are you charged, right? So you're actually charged per impression, and so if you go on there and look, I mean, and we're talking pennies of an impression, and just what an impression is that your ad shows up somewhere on the Facebook feed that they're actually on. So you get charged by impression there on that stuff. And that actually all breaks down on the back end. You can go and see what all of the impression charges are, and there's no like set impression like, hey, per impression is a penny or a dollar or however much. It fluctuates. So part of it is we don't really know. So that's the other part of the coin, but it is based on impressions. So let's go and talk about the iOS updates, right? Let's just go and talk about that, because that's definitely an important factor here for sure to look at and talk about here. So let's just talk about that and what that means. So just for those of you that don't know what happened back in, I believe, January, iOS, Apple came out with an update that is actually blocking that. It gave the user on the phone the ability to block apps like social media apps and other places from tracking their internet searches. So before this, if you pulled out your phone, right, and you went on here and you searched for a Mexican restaurant, then Facebook knew that. So they're going to show you ads for Mexican restaurants or other Italian, other restaurants in general. So they can see your searches, right? Well, now iOS prevented that from happening. So if they're out there searching, sell my house fast or something like that, then, Facebook they knew what they were searching, so they could better categorize people into, people that are interested in selling their house. And so, now that's been taken away a little bit. So there are some ways around that for sure. No question. There are some ways around that. What you could do is you can just target the entire population and get everybody. Target everyone and their mama, right? Every single individual. But even still, even prior to the iOS update, the Facebook ad hasn't changed. It's a digital bandit sign, basically. It's a billboard that you're just displaying. Hey, here we are. That's it, right? There is no intent behind it. You're kind of just waiting, hoping that somebody that's actually motivated sees that ad, contacts you, and goes through that process. For any of you that have ever run Facebook ads, you know that you get a lot of junk leads. You get a lot of people that are just testing the waters and this and that, versus when they search online, whether through SEO or AdWords, and they find you that way, their intent is higher because they're actually going online and searching, how can I do this, right? How can I sell my house? How do I? So Google is intent-based marketing. That's why those leads are such higher quality. So even prior to this iOS update here, even prior to, right, you know, still was about the same. Now, again, we had better targets that we could figure out. So, in terms of should you be concerned about the iOS update, I would be a little bit. And again, for me personally, even prior to the iOS update, I was still concerned about the Facebook ad marketing style to begin with. And the biggest reason is we can't really know who Facebook puts in what category, right? On any of the Google searches, right, we know what someone's typing in. If they're searching sell my house fast, guess what? They probably want to sell their house fast. If they're searching for hamburgers, they're probably hungry. We don't like, I mean, they may have a house to sell, right? Maybe, but they're not our primary audience, right? They're hungry. Show them hamburger restaurants, right? Not me trying to buy their house. Well, on to the Facebook ads, you're showing your ads to the people that are hungry or looking for other things, plus that may want to sell their house. So you're having to show your ads to all those individuals. And so here's what I tell everybody. If you take one thing from this, take this note. I tell everybody this, all of our clients this from the get-go. I tell them, hey, look, on the Facebook side, if you want to invest your money there and try it, here's what's going to happen. Okay, we're going to give it 3 to 4 months, maybe 6 if you've got the money to spend, which I'll talk about that here in a moment. Then great, we can do that. But at that point, if it's not working, we kill it, we cut it off, we end it, bam, done. We can come back in maybe 6 months and retry it. But if the paid ads aren't working, kill them, stop them, end them. That's my personal advice to everyone there. And again, go through all the necessary steps of changing up your ad copies and your images and all that stuff and trying to refresh them, right? But if you're not doing that, if you are and it's still not giving you the results you want, end it. Again, because Facebook is not intent-based anything. It's just you throwing your ad out saying, hey, I buy houses, right? Here's what my ad says. I buy houses here, That's it. It's just you holding something up to show them that. And so hopefully that makes sense about that iOS update there. So give me a good thumbs up or I got it or something like that to let me know that you guys got that. And if you have any other questions about the iOS stuff, let me know. Happy to answer it there. And then the last question here on Facebook is right here. Lamika says, for testing, how long do you test and what is your daily spend? Okay, so let's talk about that. There are a lot of different methods to test, right? Or a lot of different methods of how you should test. What I would say is I would run those ads for about 2 weeks. That's personal. What we test on is between 2 weeks to a month is what we look at. Other people say 2 days, 5 days. I think 2 weeks is
coming in
pretty
whenever
good.
you have a moment.
Happy medium there. And then
couple quick questions.
Yeah.
Couple quick questions on the ad spend. Like you're saying, if you've got the budget to do this, let's do this for 2 months, 3 months, see how this works out. Maybe 6 months if you've got the budget. What kind of budget are you saying that these people, from your experience dealing with social media marketing, if they are running these live ads, what kind of budget should these people realistically be placing on something like this? Like, should they say, okay, I've got $200 to spend this month. Should I spend that on Facebook marketing? I've been in several larger masterminds, and what I've heard around the table is that the average cost per contract through social media marketing, through paid ads, is not a couple $100 a month. I mean, these people are spending normally around $3,000 to $5,000 per contract, and that's what they're having to spend. Are you seeing different, and what should someone really be thinking when they're putting their money back into a ad campaign like this?
Sweet. So that's all really good
or something like that
questions,
to
and it worked
let
out
you know putting their
super,
money
super
back
well.
into a ad
So
campaign
if
like this.
let me tell Daniel to mute his mic real
So
quick.
that's all really good. There's something like that to let you know super,
Wait
super
a second,
well
because he's
to
going to come through.
so if let me tell Daniel to mute his mic real quick.
I just turn my volume down. Okay, so we've got it. There we go. Sweet. So we got it there. All right. So let's go back to where I was at with the testing and all of that stuff, right? So back to that, and then I'll answer all of those other things. So testing, right? I would test probably about $5 to $10 a day on whatever tests that you're running. And I would look for the conversions, right? I want to know how many people are actually responding, and that's really what I'm focused on, right? Am I getting leads, and how much are those leads, right? If our leads are $200, $300, $400, that's not for right now, right? We want to keep our lead cost under $100. And here's a big important thing. I would say under about $70, really, but so let's talk about the budget and that side of the coin here. So and just average cost per lead, right? So I'm sure that everybody on here has seen somebody out there posting, sharing about, talking up, hyping up the Facebook ads, right? Saying, hey, we're getting $10 leads, 15 lead, cheap leads. While that can happen, that's not necessarily true. What they're doing is they're running national campaigns, right? So the broader of an audience you get, generally, or excuse me, the broader of an audience you give to the algorithm to work, generally speaking, the cheaper those lead costs are. Generally, of course, you have to keep up with your ads and all that stuff. So, I think that is what gets a lot of people hyped up about the Facebook ads. But again, you have to understand the quality, right? Again, the Facebook side is no intent-based searching whatsoever. That's for SEO and AdWords. People are typing in, we buy houses, cash for houses, sell my house, right? We know what their intent is. On the Facebook side, it's just you're literally displaying something saying, hey, here I am, I buy houses, right? So those leads are a lot cheaper. You also have to go through a lot more stuff. So to the question here, if somebody has, $200, $300 to spend, do I spend it on social media? Personally, the answer is no. You shouldn't. And he just hit the nail on the head when he said people are saying that the average cost per acquisition, cost per contract on social media is in the 3 to 5 range. There are some that are a bit lower, a bit cheaper, but I say generally 2 to 4,000 is the typical ranges of things that we see. And so, if you're not spending that, right, it's going to be hard for you to get a contract. Now, you might get lucky. Don't get me wrong. You might get lucky, but I would much rather you see, if you have a $200 budget, I would much rather you see investing that into texting or driving for dollars or something else. And then on Facebook, go join yard sale, buy, sell, trade, all of the different groups in your area, and make a post like this and say, hey, I'm looking to buy my next house for cash. I'll pay for all of the closing costs, blah, blah, blah. Does anybody know of anyone or anybody looking to sell their house? And if you post in 3 or 4 of those groups a day, and don't spam them, right? Try and be nice and somewhat helpful. But post in those groups, and you'll get almost the same results you would have if you spent $200, $300, $400, $500. So I would highly, highly recommend to make sure that you're not spending that $200 to $300 or so, because of the fact it's just going to be a waste of your money. I would much rather you invest that into, again, mailing a very targeted list, texting a very targeted list. You will probably get better results that way. And combining it with with free postings on a lot of the groups, right? That's going to be the best way to go about that. So talking again about the average cost per acquisition there as well. Yeah, I mean, again, we're seeing things in that $2,000 to $4,000 range. Let's talk about the budget you should set for yourself in a month. I think that really I really think that about $1,500 is a prime budget to spend, maybe up to 2,000 a month. But here's the mistake that a lot of people make on Facebook is they actually overspend. And if you overspend, Facebook kills you. It's going to make it more expensive. So you want to give them the appropriate amount to spend with a large target audience. So what that means is targeting people, giving them that $700 to $1,500 spend, targeting a population size, and running those ads. And again, right, we're seeing right now again that 2,000 to 4,000 per acquisition. We have in I'll say about 9 months ago or so, about 9 months ago, our average cost per acquisition was about $1,500 for all of our clients on the Facebook side. Even personal, myself as well, on my own Facebook ads, we actually had 1 month, I think it was October of last year, and we got $1,000 cost per leads. Or $1,000 cost per acquisitions. Excuse me. We spent $3,000 and got 3 contracts. It was fantastic. And then post January, we shut it off because it was terrible. And that's what we've told a lot of people to actually have on there as well. And so the other part of that spend, again, 700 to 1,500 is probably prime. That's probably a good amount to spend. And expect it to take 2 or 3 months before you might get a contract. And at that point, again, you just need to go into this understanding how it works. You're just throwing up yourself saying, hey, here I am. Right? It's as simple as that. And so that's a big important thing that you just need to understand there on that side of the coin. So we have another question in, when we want to target an entirely new state, do we set up a new Facebook page in that state and build that up? So great question here, Lisa. Great question. It depends. So we've run Facebook ads with a page in one state into another, and it's been fine. Others have gone and built a new page out. Here's what I've seen though. If you have a seasoned pixel, seasoned ad account, seasoned Facebook page, use that one. Don't go create a new one. Use the most seasoned one you have. Do that because in your ads, right? So let's just say, right, you're out of the Texas area. Let's just say you're targeting Oklahoma. All right. In those ads, you can say, hey, we are buying houses in Oklahoma. So the ad says Oklahoma, even if they went to the Facebook page and saw your address is Corpus Christi, they'll still see on that ad that you buy houses in Oklahoma. So again, I would use that seasoned one because that's going to be the best thing for sure. So here's the next part, targeting. Let's talk targeting. Okay. Here's the targeting parts of this that I would say to really focus in on here. So we've got a lot of different things, and I'm more than happy to share a complete set of this stuff here with everyone. But there's actually another tool, interestexplorer.io. Let me drop this on this chat. Great tool for finding Facebook interests. That tool right there is pretty cool. You can actually go and look. I think it costs like, I think you buy like tokens, and it's like crazy cheap, right? So like each search costs like a penny. So if you put $10 in it, it'll run you for a long while. So here's the targeting that we go after. Okay, there's a couple of things. Zillow, Realtor.com, stuff like that, right? People interested in those platforms. Anything to do with home improvement, home construction, home improvement, remodeling, etc., as well as other income-related things, mortgages, refinances, things to do with money. Those are the big 3 things that I would say, that you guys should be using. We do that as well. We also target the general population. So, and that's one thing that we test, right? We have one campaign, general population. Next campaign, different interests, and we can go through that way. So that's going to be the best thing. Honestly, on the Facebook side, test it because it's not intent-based searching. You have to test it and see. On AdWords, hey, man, we know without a shadow of a doubt what our traffic is and what they want. On the Facebook side, it gets a little bit tougher. So hopefully that is helpful there in terms of the targeting side of things. And go through Interest Explorer, IO, check that thing out. That thing's really awesome. So that'll be good. So we'll bring Daniel back in to see if he has any other questions. Pointed back at him. Let me see here. All right, cool. So we have no other questions. And so, yeah, guys, look, if you guys need to hit me up on anything, just look up my name, add me, and be more than happy to.
Sorry about that. So let me give everybody some quick feedback. So we went through and we tested all of this out yesterday. And yesterday, after we tested everything out, everything was looking good. And then today, when we went to get started, there was no audio back and forth between Caleb and I. That's why I've had to have been kind of silent this time. I cannot hear anything Caleb's saying, so I'm actually watching the live feed on YouTube, trying to follow the conversation, but I'll get this figured out and fixed before we do this live again, so that way Caleb and I can actually have some questions and going back and forth, because there's been a lot of things y'all were talking about that I'd like to have jumped in on and found out some more details on, because I find it to be an interesting topic. I know that you have said more than once here that Facebook ads is essentially like a bandit sign. You're throwing it out there hoping that somebody is interested in what you're doing, but you've said yet again that Google AdWords is the complete and total opposite. Google AdWords is much more like an encyclopedia. You open it up and you know exactly what they're looking for. They open up the encyclopedia, they're trying to find dinosaurs. You know exactly what their interests are. So there's a big difference between the two ad platforms. And if I got your basic sentiment throughout this, is that Facebook's good if you've got the money and you're really wanting to point it in that direction, but it really feels like you have a bias for Google AdWords, and that you personally seem to think that if you're going to throw your money somewhere, that Google AdWords would be where it's at. So are you going to be talking about Google AdWords maybe in the next couple of weeks?
Absolutely will. And that's going to definitely be the next thing that we'll hop into specifically there, and deep dive into what that stuff is. And for the SEO side, you'll learn that I'm extremely heavy on that side, again, because it's intent based. We know what someone's actually typing in.
So I have no clue what he just said, and that's one of the problems with what's going on right now. I cannot hear him. So I do have two questions that popped up. Let's answer those two questions and wrap it up. I had Christian come in and ask, are nationwide campaigns worth it on Facebook? Like, what is that looking like? And another Facebook user asked, are lead pages working? And, if you could answer those for me, and give me a thumbs up when you're done, because I have no clue what you're saying.
Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. So what we have, so let's talk about the landing pages first. Yes, those totally work. You can send traffic there. I think that's a good thing. On Facebook ads, we do that for sure. It definitely is the best thing there. And to actually address what Lisa also said about if you don't have a big bank account, it doesn't work on the AdWords side. Yes and no. It just depends on where you are and things like that. Certainly is definitely a bit higher cost for sure, no question about that. Leads are a lot higher quality there overall, and so that's a huge one there. So. The other question is, and I am blanking. So sorry.
Let me see if I get Slack popped open real quick. All right. My apologies, everybody. The audio on this one from my side was just butchered, so I can't tell what was going on or what was happening. But I'm going to have to let Caleb wrap up this show. And if you've got anything final to say, if you've got any final statements to make, go for it. I'll wrap up this show, and we'll make sure that we have this fixed before we do the next live show.
Sweet. Awesome, guys. Well, yeah, so look, anything else that you guys need? I know there's one other question I didn't get to. I am so sorry. I totally just forgot what it was. But if you guys need anything, feel free to hit me up. More than happy to answer any questions. Add me here on to the Facebook platform. I'll respond there, but you can look us up. If you want to look up Steel Marketing, you'll find me there. So, but more than happy, guys. And I'm looking forward to what's coming next. Get pumped, get ready. We got a lot of awesome things happening next.
All right, everybody. I assume that thumbs up means that he was done. Once again, my apologies on behalf of the. I cannot hear anything he's saying, so we'll get that fixed next time around, so that way we can actually have a conversation. It's kind of awkward doing an interview when you can't hear the other person. So I appreciate everybody dealing with it. I hope that Caleb worked out well for you. He is definitely really good on the digital marketing side, understanding the AdWords, the Facebook ads, all of the different little platforms, and I'm excited to talk through this more with him in the future. So we'll come back probably in another couple of weeks and touch base on some other topics. But I do appreciate each and every one of y'all, and y'all all have a wonderful